Well, welcome back, everyone. In our first couple sessions, we talked about the purpose of prayer, why we pray, the expectations from prayer, the idea of prayer being avoda, service, work. Today, in this session, I'd like to quickly go over the overall arc of the prayer service, that you will know what to expect when you come to a morning prayer service. So for weekdays, and for Shabbat, it's going to be, and for Yom Tov for that matter, it's going to be the same overall arc of the service. For the morning, we begin with a collection of introductory hymns, verses of praise, blessings, and then we move through that to the Shacharit, the morning service, where we try to connect with God, with God's holiness, and try and raise ourselves up. That's the Shacharit, the morning service. Then on 2 weekdays out of the week, Monday and Thursday, and then of course on Shabbat and Yom Tov, the holidays, we have a Torah service. So we don't have a Torah service every day. Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, there are no Torah services, unless, of course, it's a holiday. But that's where the Torah service comes. The reason for Monday and Thursday is the tradition was that Monday and Thursday were market days, and people would gather in the marketplace. It was also days when the courts would meet on Monday and Thursday for hearing cases in the community. And so we would study Torah on those days, and so that's why there's a Torah reading there. After the Torah reading, we have the Ashrei. Psalm 145 is recited for a second time in the service. The first time is during the introductory part of the service. So we have the Ashrei here. Again, some more collections of praise, verses of prophecy concerning messianic times. And then we have the Aleinu prayer, and that follows with the concluding prayers for each day. There's a psalm for each day of the week, and then a psalm for Shabbat as well. And sometimes there's psalms for special days, like for Rosh Chodesh, the new month. Or during this time of year, we add Psalm 27 to every morning and evening service. Then we conclude with the Kaddish and maybe some additional psalms. But that's the overall arc of the service. Each part of the service has a special function. The introductory service gets us ready to pray. I know that sounds odd, a little strange, but our sages tell us the best way to prepare for prayer is to pray. So the highlight of the morning service, the Shacharit service, is both the Shema, which then leads into the Amidah, the standing prayer, sometimes called the Shmona Esrei, the 18 blessings. And so since that's the pinnacle, the apex of the service, we have to lead into it and prepare ourselves. And so the sages instituted a series of blessings, of praise, verses that will help us become more in tune with what we should be praying for. As I mentioned in our last sessions, that the idea of all these prayers is to help us realize what we should be praying for. And so when we get to the Shmona Esrei, the Amidah, we begin with verses of praise. Again, leading into the verses where we're asking for stuff. So in the Amidah, we have the Avot. We're praising God for choosing Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and those who include the Imahot, the matriarchs, the Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And then the Gvurot, the strength that God gives us to exist in this world. And then we have the Kedusha, prayers, again, praising God and recalling Isaiah's vision of the heavenly host. After that, we have blessings of request, things we're asking for. But listen to the types of things we're asking for. We ask for wisdom, the ability to understand the difference between night and day. We ask God to save us. We ask God to forgive us. We ask God to heal us. We ask God to give us our harvest. If we translate it in today's world, if you're not a farmer, parnasa, our livelihood. We then ask God to bring about the redemption and the messianic age. We ask God to bless those who are righteous and to help them and protect them. We then thank God with the Modim Anachnu Lach. We gratefully acknowledge you, and then we ask God for peace. That's the last blessing in the morning. It's Sim Shalom, grant us peace, and then in the afternoon and evening service, Shalom Rav, where we are again asking for peace, and then we have an ending meditation that God accept our prayers, that if they were truly sincere and meaningful, that they are answered in the way that we would like and the way that is best for us. I include that last part because sometimes the things we want aren't always what's best for us, and so we ask God to make sure that what we're asking for is actually really good for us, and that He grant us that. So that's really, again, the overall arc of the service. And then as we move to the afternoon, the evening service, the afternoon service begins with Psalm 145. During the weekday, we then go right into the Amidah, the standing prayer, Kaddish, Aleinu. Sometimes there's Tachanun, prayers of where we're asking for forgiveness. That's a whole collection of prayers. And then the Aleinu, again praising God and acknowledging God's uniqueness in the world. And then we end with the Mourner's Kaddish. Again, sometimes we add psalms, but for the most part we end with the Mourner's Kaddish. The evening service begins immediately with the call to prayer, the Baruch, and then the Shema and its blessings, and then the Amidah and its blessings. We again do a Kaddish, a full Kaddish, Aleinu, and then the Mourner's Kaddish. And again, oftentimes we add psalms. As I said, during this time of year, it's Psalm 27. And then we also, for our congregation, we add Psalm 121, which is a song, what's called the Song of Ascents. It is a psalm that is recited at various occasions, always with the idea of helping and guiding. And we do so as we pray for peace and for the security of the land of Israel, the people and the land. So those are the three services: Shacharit, morning service; Mincha, the afternoon service; and then the evening service, Ma'ariv or Arvit. And those services all have pretty much the same overall arc. On Shabbat and Yom Tov, on Sabbath and festivals, we add something called a Musaf service. And this is a service that recognizes and recalls the offerings that were brought in the temple for each holiday or for the Sabbath. So this is the overall arc of the service. This is so you can recognize where you are when you come into synagogue and we're all mumbling silently or even aloud in Hebrew, and you're trying to follow along. This is how you know where you are in the arc of the service. And now, before I conclude, I just want to do and offer one thing. While it is always preferable to pray in Hebrew, because Hebrew is the language of prayer, it is acceptable to pray in whatever language you understand best. I have an office full of prayer books Some have Russian translation, some have Ladino translation, some have Yiddish translation, most of them have English translation. So we're to pray in whatever language we understand best, although the translations aren't always truly accurate to the Hebrew. So the preference, as I said before, is to pray in Hebrew, but pray in whatever language you know best. Thank you for joining me for this little trip through prayer. In our third and final session before the holidays, I'm going to share with you the High Holiday Service ideas and how they are represented in our prayer service. And then we'll talk a little bit about the prayers during Sukkot and some of the special rituals associated with the Feast of Tabernacles, the festival of Sukkot. See you next time. Thank you.